Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. Kerry, 24 points. Monaghan, 111. A very, very comfortable, comprehensive win for Kerry in the first game of the 2024 All-Ireland group stages. A game that, to be honest with you, really wasn't much of a contest. Kerry were absolutely brilliant. Still think they have another gear to go up on. Still think they have another level to go up on. But Monaghan, they were very, very poor. That's as poor as I've seen Monaghan play in I don't know how long, in all honesty. Might be as bad as possibly ever, to be honest with you, especially that first half. Like, they were very, very poor. 2 points in the first half. It was a complete non-contest. And it was a little bit disappointing, to be honest with you, because watching this game as a neutral, having seen Clare put it up to Kerry, obviously in the Munster final, you're thinking, look, Kerry aren't at their absolute best just yet. And yes, they're playing at home in Killarney and everything else. And yes, it's going to be very difficult for Monaghan. But I just felt like with Monaghan have had a long time off. I think they've had more time off than anyone else, I think, because they obviously got beat in the preliminary rounds against Cavan. So it's been a long time waiting around for Monaghan before this game. And you were just expecting they would bring a bit more energy. They it's like a huge amount of time to sort of get over the cobwebs, warm weather training, all that stuff. Rory Beggan obviously back. I know he obviously came back in the last few days, but you've got Stephen O'Hanlon back. You've got Conor McManus in there as well. Desi Ward. Like, you're just thinking, right, you've got a couple of lads now back from injury. Surely now Monaghan can make this. No one's expecting them to win the game. But I remember in the All-Ireland semi-finals last year, Monaghan gave a very, very good account of themselves versus Dublin, made it difficult, made it tough, made Dublin work for it. And look, that was in Croke Park, fair enough. But this is in Killarney, so Kerry's home stadium, if you want to say Dublin's home stadium last year, or whatever you want to call it. Like, and it just wasn't the case. Like, they had that early goal chance from Conor McCarthy, and if that goes in, maybe it's a different game. But Kerry were just so comfortable, and the amount of poor errors from Monaghan, like picking the ball up off the ground, poor hand passes, just carrying the ball into tackles. Like, Kerry were turning Monaghan over at absolute ease. It was so comfortable for them. You do have to commend Kerry, though. They were doing a huge amount of work on Monaghan's kick out. Beggan was going long, and there was a couple of instances when Monaghan did win those kickouts. If they worked the ball quick enough, they could create half a goal chance. But like, Kerry's attacking line was very, very good today. They were all on it. Like, Paul Gainey with 5 points, Sean O'Shea 4 points, Tony Brosnan, I think, was outstanding. He was very good against Clare. He stood up again. David Clifford with 5 points, 3 of which I think from play. So, like, for Kerry, they really were a lot better than what they were against Clare. Still a lot for them to work on. They obviously conceded a goal again. I think that's 9 goals now conceded in the last 8 games. Again, they haven't scored a goal, which I think will disappoint Jack O'Connor. I think that's 9 games in a row now without scoring. I think 1 goal in 9 games or something of that nature. So, yeah, Kerry will be a little bit disappointed about that, in fairness. But like, Tom O'Sullivan was brilliant as well. 3 points. 3 points the last day, I think, versus Clare, Cork. Like, he was very, very good as well. He's doing a tremendous amount of work. And look, it was just so comfortable for Kerry. Like, there were 8 points to 1 up after about 20 minutes. You felt like it was game over. Kerry obviously being at home in Killarney, you were just looking at it and thinking, do Monaghan have any fight about them? Do they have any battle about them? I think one positive you will take from Monaghan is the second half performance. The scoreline looks a little bit more respectable as opposed to what it did at halftime. Like, at halftime, I think it was 15-2. It finishes as 24-111. So a 13-point lead for Kerry at halftime. It finishes as a 10-point win. So ultimately Monaghan win the second half, if you want to look at the positives. But all in all, like, just for Monaghan, 9 straight defeats now in a row since the opening win in the league. And I'm just looking at Monaghan, and, like, fair enough, there is a few injuries there. Like, Desi Ward comes on, then goes off. A couple, like, Stephen O'Hanlon's obviously back in the side. Ryan O'Toole's in there. Conor McCarthy, McManus. But I don't know what it is about Monaghan. Like, the confidence just doesn't seem to be there. Is it working under Vinnie Corey at the moment? You'd have to say it isn't, because, like, it's one thing to get beat, but to get absolutely hammered, I think, is another thing. And, like, Kerry, as I said, played that second half in complete second gear. They weren't completely up for, they were in absolute cruise control, really. It felt like Kerry could have upped the levels if they really needed to at any point. And yeah, like, I mean, fair play to Kerry. Look, they I suppose brushed off some of the disappointing performances against Clare. Like, a lot of their forwards were brilliant, as we said. Paul Murphy was very good as well with 2 points, in fairness. And look, Monaghan gave a bit more of it in the second half, like the Gary Mohan goal, maybe an element of luck with that goal. But they did obviously have I think it was a Sean Jones with the fisted effort that just went wide. Had a lot of big opportunities, Monaghan, to get more goals. There was a half McManus goal chance in the second half as well. So, like, for Monaghan, it is worrying because, look, they obviously play Louth and Meath. Louth and Meath will be looking at that and thinking whoever wins that Louth and Meath game next week, have a massive, massive opportunity going in against this Monaghan side, because this Monaghan team do look very fragile at the moment. They look low on confidence, and it's just not what you associate with Monaghan. Like, usually watching Monaghan, they're always bang up for it. They're up for the fight. There's heavy challenges going in, and they make life difficult. They're always working hard, and you just didn't see that today. And look, I'll be curious to know. I know there is plenty of Monaghan fans who often tune into the channel. So I would be curious to know what Monaghan fans think is going wrong at the moment. Is it injuries? Is it players getting older? Is it the whole hoorah that's going on with Rory Beggan? He's back 1 week, then he's gone, then he's back again. Is that having an effect on the team? Is it a case of second season syndrome for Vinnie Corey? Or is it a case that Kerry were just very, very good and Monaghan couldn't deal with it? But at the same time, I still think Kerry can play better. I still think there's more in them. Do you know that way? Like, there was a few defensive lapses here and there, but there we are. Shawnee says long layoff, I'd say. Maybe they had a part to play with their first half, but at the same time, it was a long layoff. But you'd expect them to have worked on what went wrong, to have worked on those mistakes. And we just didn't see that at all. If anything, they looked worse in that first half than they did throughout the Cavan game, throughout the times in the championship. So, yeah, worrying stuff there. Shawnee says Kerry in very easy group with Meath and Louth. Yeah, it's, like, Louth, I think, are making progress under Ger Brennan, but can they take anything away from Kerry? I don't think they can. Meath obviously will be playing Kerry at Park Tolshan. You'd have to imagine Kerry will be fairly comfortable in winning this group. Tommy says embarrassing first half, not an awful second half. And Tom says, where are we expecting anything else? Look, ultimately, with it finishing as a 10-point win, fair enough. Like, you could probably say 10-point win was maybe expected. I would have said about 7 or 8, but 13 points at half time, like that was a huge margin. And you were thinking, like, this could be 20 points if Kerry are really at it in the second half. And I think there was an element of game management for Kerry. There's obviously, plenty more games to go, not overexerting themselves, not pushing themselves too hard in the risk of injuries and everything else. So Kerry probably did take their foot off the gas ever so slightly. And look, Monaghan were better in the second half. There's no doubt about that. Tackling wise, they were much better. Started to get some of their bigger players into the game and started to make more of an impact. But all in all, like, it's at the same time, the damage was done in the first half. Like, Micheál Bannigan was impressive in the second half, 2 points. Gary Mohan with 1-1. But yeah, and even some of the substitutes like Joel Wilson, Andrew Woods, Desi Ward all scoring. But ultimately, yeah, disappointing stuff there from a Monaghan perspective. Liam says Kerry opened up again, too easy, should have conceded 3 goals. Time to rest David Clifford until the quarter final. Yeah, look, you still want momentum though. You want them to be playing well, scoring, confidence, all that stuff. But I do get your point. They certainly won't be overexerting themselves anyway in the next 2 games. And yeah, defensively still worries there. Especially that first chance, like in the opening couple of minutes. Whatever you say about Kerry taking the foot off the gas in the second half, conceding a big chance like that in the opening couple of minutes. And look, maybe if McCarthy scores, Kerry I still think would have won comfortably, but maybe it just would have given Monaghan a bit more confidence. And I don't think you have that scoreline at half time. Like, I don't think it's a 13-point lead for Kerry. And it's mad, like, McCarthy's effort was saved. Monaghan kicked just 1 point after that for the entirety of the second half. So, yeah, it really was a massive turning point. But look, ultimately for Monaghan, it's not gone. Like, they still can rectify it. They still can fix it. They've obviously got Louth next, I think, at home, and then they obviously have Meath on the final game, obviously in the group stages in a neutral venue. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, look, we'll go ahead and wrap this up here. Man of the match for me, Tom O'Sullivan. Thought he was outstanding, but be curious to know your opinions in the comments below. For any Kerry fans, Monaghan fans, be interested to know your perspective on this game as well. And until the next one, speak to you all soon.